And welcome to beautiful Butte, Alaska. It's the MultiGP Regional Series, the Northwest Regional Qualifying Race for 2018. It's the Alaska Drone Racing League. In fact, this is the qualifying race for all of the state of Alaska, since the Alaska Drone Racing League is the only chapter for MultiGP in the state of Alaska. We've got 10 pilots with us today, ready and looking forward to qualifying for this race. We just got one more practice race before the actual qualifying races begin. There are 7 rounds. The first 2 rounds have already been run, or the last bit of the second round is being run at this time. And then after this, it's 5 rounds of qualifying times. The pilots will be tallied, and the best 3 of those 5 rounds will be what count for their official MultiGP times. After today, everybody's going to be ranked somewhere nationally. What they're doing right now is looking to qualify for the regional championships out there in Seattle, Washington, taking place about 2 weeks from now. It's August 18th and 19th down there in Seattle. Now, the top 100 times from the Northwest region will be invited to Seattle. That's 6 different states in the Northwest region. It's Washington, Idaho, Oregon, Wyoming, Montana, and of course the state of Alaska. Right now there are 74 pilots qualified in those in the region. With an additional qualifier today, it's the Treasure Valley MultiGP down in Nampa, Idaho. They've got 21 pilots signed up for theirs. And with 10 signed up today, additional 31 on top of that 74, looks like we're going to be at 105 pilots vying for 100 slots in the Northwest region. So we're up and racing right now. The last of the qualifier rounds, it's Danboy, Manboy, and AK drones out there putting out the rest of their qualifying laps. Or practicing for their qualifying laps before the actual real thing begins. Let's take a look at the track right now before we get going. This is the official MultiGP qualifying track. As you can see, you're starting out of the start gate and you're confronted with a series of 3 different flags called the chicanes. You'll go left and right around those flags and end up in front of gate number 2. Bringing it through gate number 2, it's gate number 3. It's a 45-degree angled hurdle gate. You go up over the top of that, then back down to get in through gate number 4, a quick left turn, and you'll see the flag there. You get around that, and now you're confronted with the 3-gate complex, also known as the corkscrew. Straight through gate number 5, up and around. It's a 180-degree flipping turn through the flags over the top of the complex and back through gate number 6. Going straight through in front of you is gate number 7 now. This is known as the split S gate. You go through the flags on the split S gate, back down around and through the gate. This will line you up with gate number 8. It's a wide turn. A lot of troubles out there this season on gate number 8 going wide. After through that, you'll make a hard left turn around that flag there, as you see, and now it's a hairpin turn. It's gate number 9. This one is a bit of a challenge as well. It'll slow things down. You'll go through at a very shallow angle, back through a couple of flags there, and now onto the home stretch, gate number 10, and on down through one more flag, and that is the start gate once again. And so that is the track. There's the starting lineup there, and the pilots will be placing their quads out momentarily. Looking straight out, that is Pioneer Peak, the majestic mountain that's overseeing this track. We're sitting in the shadow of it. It's one of the greatest tracks in all of MultiGP. We're glad you're here to join us today and hope you enjoy today's race.
Welcome to our regional qualifier for Alaska Drone Racing League, MultiGP. We are making history today. This is the first time that MultiGP qualifier is being held in the state of Alaska. So that's kind of exciting for all of us. It took us a long road to get here, but we're doing better. And I think we got many years to come with more pilots growing, hopefully. We'll do our safety brief. As you know, we do have an airport a quarter of a mile that way. The ask is, even during celebrations of finishing a race, you stay below tree level. We cannot go above 200 feet. when you're flying, everyone must have a spotter. So and when we do the call-outs for the next race up, we'll be asking spotters ready, then racers ready. Because spotters are probably one of the most important things for us. Your spotters, if an animal or a person or an ATV comes out on the course, is going to let you know. We're going to ask you to go ahead and stop exactly where you're at and start over. Hopefully that won't happen. We got the perimeter marked really well. Where went this mark? If you catch on fire and everybody lands, just straight down land, and we'll take care of the fire, and then we'll figure it out from there. It has not happened yet. Don't anticipate it happening, but never say never. Murphy shows up sometimes. Do not cross the flight line during any race. Very important there. Do not plug in when we have pilots. Anybody in the background, please do not plug in when we got pilots on the stand. Yes. And Lines West said, spotters, please be ready. That's going to help the day go a lot smoother. And by the end of today, we will all have national stand-ins. So we'll see how we rank. You only have to complete one lap, guys. And you'll be on the register. That's right.
The pressure's real.
Yes, it is. You see where you stack up against the top names that you always see on the internet. Yeah. Jet, two-time DRL champion, everybody. And I think we're ready to go. Does anybody need a walkthrough? We've run this track a few times now, but this is the qualifier. I want to make sure everybody understands what the path is. Everybody good? Yeah. Yeah.
Do power loop it.
Yes.
Over and over again.
We'll have officially, there's 2 practice and then 5 time. And your stand-in is the best 3 of 5 time. All right. Let's race. Let's race.
All right.
And now we have come to it. It is round 1, heat number 1. Actually, it's round number 3. We're going to call it round 1 because this is the actual qualifying times. 4 pilots are now being faced with their first shot at regional qualifying times. It's in Chair 1, AK Honky. That's John Sam from Chugiak, Alaska. FPV Maverick in Chair 2. That's William Thomas from Anchorage, Alaska. In Chair 3, it's FPV Slacker, Mark Slack from Anchorage, Alaska. And in Chair 4, it's FPV Drift, Wes Frymouth from Eagle River, Alaska. They're out there at the starting lineup right now, putting their quads on the podium, making sure everything's exactly the way they want it to be. Their camera angles are adjusted, their props are on tight, their batteries are charged, and they're looking to place their quads in the appropriate position so that they get the best start possible. This is all about time, folks. As many laps as you can get in 2 minutes around this track is what we're looking to do. The fastest times out there right now, looking at the top 25. This is all the qualifiers in the regional Northwest region. Number 1 is Jet, who's gotten 21 laps. His average lap time is a 19.526, and you can see it goes all the way down. Number 25 is Patso, 14 laps with an average time of 24.675. We have a couple, probably 3 pilots, maybe even 4, that are averaging about 15 laps, so you should see these guys going into the top 25 today at some point. It'll take 3 laps or 3 races before you actually see them start hitting that list. But we'll keep up with that as we go forward on the day. And they are now making their way back from the starting podiums to the flight line for a race number 1 on the regional qualifier series for the Alaska Drone Racing League and MultiGP's Northwest region. So we've got 4 pilots now up the line. We're plugging in and getting ourselves ready to be underway. They'll be gathering spotters, so they'll be looking to make sure that they're keeping track of where these guys' drones are in case they do crash out and come out of the sky there. Also, they're looking to make sure that there's no wildlife like moose or bears out on the track, or other ATV riders or other recreational vehicles. We do have a very big recreating area out here at the Jim Creek RC Park. You'll hear things in the background as you go throughout the day. So we've got our spotters. All the pilots are strapped in and ready to go. And the tone sounds. There's 4 pilots into the air. First through the gate, looks like it's going to be FPV Maverick. And he is into the corkscrew already. AK Honky now coming up to the corkscrew as well. It's FPV Slacker and FPV Drift taking up the back. FPV Drift, the first of those two into the Slacker. And FPV Maverick has hit a gate. It looks like he's hung up in it right now. His props are hung up in the gate. So that's going to set him back time-wise if he can't extricate that drone from the gate. We'll join him here in just a little bit. For now, it's AK Honky, FPV Slapper, and FPV Drift. FPV Drift and Slacker still waiting to finish their first lap. AK Honky, his lap was 40.266 seconds, and Maverick's first lap, 26.002. So he's hung up in the fabric there of the gate right now. AK Honky now on with 46 seconds left to go. He's on pace for a 4-lap day there. And he's now down in the ground as well. So it's FPV Slacker and FPV Drift right now. So he'll try and make his way back up into the sky. And AK Honky and FPV Maverick out of the race. It's FPV Slacker now and FPV Drift. With 10 seconds left to go, that will probably be it for times. FPV Slacker ricocheting off some gates out there as well. And there is your 2 minutes as FPV Drift just makes it through the gate on time. He'll be on to his 3rd lap now. So that's a big one for him there as well. AK Honky, I think, was up momentarily, and he's making a little bit of dust out there. You kind of see there as the track is out there, but he is still not up into the air. FPV Maverick is hopelessly hung up in the gates there. So FPV Slacker coming around through gate number 9. He's on the backstretch now. Gate number 10 he hits. One more flag to go, and he will be finished with his first race of the day. AK Honky will have 1 minute to get it back into the air, I believe, is by MultiGP rules. FPV Slacker finishes the race. It's the first one through. FPV Drift also finishes his race. And AK Honky will have 1 minute to try to get that into the air. We'll kind of keep an eye on that. So with 20 seconds down on that one. And he is back into the air, so he will be alive. All he needs to do is finish this lap. He's already got the other 2 laps under his belt, so this one is actually going to bring his lap time down. But it will be good practice for him nonetheless to continue to get it ironed out back there. Through gate number 9, he's coming up to now. Coming down the back stretch, and AK Honky will finish his race as well. So he did get it back up into the air, and we'll get you updated with those times momentarily.
The race is completed.
So your results, AK Honky, 3 laps in 3 minutes, 58.394 seconds. FPV Maverick, 1 lap in at 26.002 seconds. And FPV Slacker, 2 laps, 2:56.042. And FPV Drift in 3 laps. Next up, it's round one, heat number 2. It's Hazard FPV, David Spencer from Anchorage, Alaska, Mr. Geek FPV, Buckley Clark from Anchorage, Alaska, and Foggy Minded FPV. That's Josh Erickson from Wasilla, Alaska. They are up and ready to go right now as we speak for their first try at the regional qualifying time. So we're going to get 3 races in before you're going to start seeing any kind of placement results that mean anything here.
Pilot ready. On the tone. Let's race.
3 drones off the blocks and 3 into the air. 1 contacting the start gate there. So we're all cleanly racing now. So Hazard FPV on a good pace, but Mr. Geek is out in front right now, as you can see, coming through gate number 9 around the back stretch there. A little bit of a wobble going through the flags on to gate 10 and through. Mr. Geek will be first. And his lap time at 31.622 seconds, followed closely by Hazard FPV, a 35-second lap time on that one. Foggy Minded now making his way through. His first lap will be at 46.337 seconds. Just as we say that, Hazard FPV has impacted a gate, and you see some mesh there from that gate. He is going to be working to get that one out. We'll come back to him if he does. Well, we said that. Foggy Minded also had a bit of an accident out there. He'll try to get that back into the air. Mr. Geek now on pace for 5 laps. Is the sole man standing at this point in time. So Mr. Geek around gate number 9 on the back stretch. He's on pace for 5 laps. If you said that before, that one at 29.189 seconds. So with 22 seconds to go, he should be able to get 1 more into the air there. And it does look like, nope, nobody's up there. It's just Mr. Geek right now. Once again, gate number 9 around the backstretch with 6 seconds to go, 5, 4. He should make it through and onto his 5th lap, and he does. So that one right there, 29.430 seconds. He'll post a 5-lap time if he can keep this one going in the air. So as it works out, you get 2 minutes if you've gone through the start gate at the beginning of those 2 minutes, then you get to finish that lap. So that's what you're looking for, is to beat the buzzer there going in through that start gate, which Mr. Geek did just ahead of that buzzer. So coming around the back stretch on his 5th lap, he'll post a 5-lap time, and that's a good one there, folks. 5 laps is what we're looking for to get into that top 25 of the Northwest region. Well, there's your results for round 1, heat number 2. It's Hazard FPV with 1 lap. Mr. Geek FPV pulls out the 5. Foggy Minded FPV with 1 lap as well. And the time didn't register. We will correct that here momentarily. And we're on to round heat number 3 of the first round of qualifying times. It's AK Drones. That's Ryan Martin from Wasilla, Alaska. Be sitting in chair number 1 out there. And Dan Mahoney from Anchorage, Alaska, sitting in chair number 2. They have placed their quads, and they are at the flight line as we speak, getting plugged in and ready to go. So this will be the last of the first round of qualifiers. Got a couple of, we got a 4-lap and a 5-lap in there. Dan Boy will be looking for 5 laps, and AK Drone's looking for a few laps himself. So it looks like we're all ready to go here.
Spotters ready. All right. Racers ready? Awesome. On the tone. Let's race.
2 up and 2 through the start gate. Dan Boy, Man Boy leading the pack right now. AK Drone's working his way through the chicanes. So Dan Boy out there, a little bit of trouble over in the course tree. The wind is up a little bit. It's not too bad. We've seen a lot worse out here. So they've got a lot of good practice in the breeze, which is good. It's a tough thing to compensate for if you're not used to it. Dan Boy now around gate number 9 through the back stretch now, and he'll post his first lap time here momentarily. 37.251 seconds for his first lap, as AK Drones looking good out there as well, is making his way around to gate number 9. Dan Boy, Man Boy getting tangled up on one of the chicane flags there. I think, I'm not sure, maybe it was the flag after gate number 4, perhaps. So now into the split S goes Dan Boy, Man Boy, and AK Drones finishes his first lap. So he'll have a national ranking as well. 1 minute and 0.024 second. Dan Boy, Man Boy on pace for only a 4-lap race right now. He could pick it up a little bit. He got into a little bit of trouble out there. With 38 seconds left in this race, he'll have to push it pretty hard. He's over there on the split S, around gate 8. And coming down the backstretch, he'll only have about 20 seconds for that last lap. AK Drones moving along nicely. Dan Boy gets into trouble out there. Not sure what he hit. I saw him hit the ground, if it was a gate or if he just kind of fell down out of the sky. AK Drones also getting into trouble. And that is time. They'll have a minute to get it back into the air. And that's it. That will be, the race has been seated. Oh, Dan Boy did look, he pulled his visor back down. Nope, he's done. So that's it for heat number 3 of round number 1.
The race is completed.
So there's your results. AK Drones posting a lap for himself. That'll get him on the board there as a national ranked drone pilot. 1 lap with 1 minute and just over that, 0.024 seconds. Dan Boy, Man Boy got into a little bit of trouble out there. Only posting 3 laps right now, and that'll be a little bit of a disappointment for him, but he's up on the board at 138.983. Just looking at local rankings right now, this doesn't really mean anything, but you can see how many laps we've got out there and what the times are for everybody. Mr. Geek right now out in front with 5 laps. Average lap time at 30.166 seconds. And then it's Dan Boy, FPV Drift, and AK Honky all sitting there with 3 laps as well. And we are on to round 2, heat number 1 of the 2018 Northwest Regional Qualifier. AK Honky will be in chair number 1, FPV Maverick in chair number 2, FPV Slacker in chair number 3, and FPV Drift over there in chair number 4. They're out there at the starting line right now, placing their quads on the podiums. As you can see, they got the nice blocks there that they get the quads up off the ground, and that affords a much better start. You're not wrapped up in any kind of weeds. The thing with the AK DRL track out here, it's very, very scenic. As you can see, we got the majestic Pioneer Peak in the background, but it is pretty rough. We got some ruts out there. You can see that the 4-wheel machines that are very active in this area, you can hear them in the background right now. They do come through here and kind of make these roads and ruts, and this is kind of a reclaimed area. We've got some stumps that are hazards out there to the drone, so it's a very challenging track. Everything's a little bit higher or lower than each other, so you got to kind of adjust to get through those gates. You know, one may be higher than the next. So it's these guys get out on a flat grass track, it's really going to show what kind of quality pilots that they are. They've got probably some better practice than most adjusting to this the idiosyncrasies of this track. So we've got our drones all placed at the start line. We're back out here and getting ready to plug in and race in round number 2. It's heat number 1, the 2018 regional qualifier. So they are all set up and ready to go.
On the tone, let's race.
So there's the tone. There's 4 pilots into the air. They are through the gates. And it looks like this time it's AK Honky through the gate first, followed by FPV Maverick, but he does take the lead now. FPV Maverick through the split S. So we got a kind of a hang up on his video there. So for some reason, we got a weird little lag going on in FPV Maverick's video. It's back now, and he is the first one through the gate in a time of 26.972 seconds. So a blistering time there. AK Honky not too far behind him, 32.107 seconds. And FPV Drift and Slacker are making their way back down the track. Now, FPV Maverick keeps freezing that video for some reason on the back stretch, so not sure what that is. Be assured he is still in the air. That lap time was a fast one, folks, 23.214 seconds. So he's picking it up there. He's still on track for a 5-lap day there. AK Honky, that was one of his faster laps as well, 29.110 seconds. And FPV Drift has made it through on his first lap. That was a 59.645 second lap with 41 seconds to go. FPV Maverick into the corkscrew right now. And AK Honky finding some trouble there near the split S gate. So he's going to kind of work on getting that back up into the air. FPV Maverick through his 4th lap, 22 seconds to go. And that one, if he can do that again, he might get his 6th lap, because that was a 22.512 second lap. So shaves off about half a second maybe. He might be able to push it through onto a 6th lap. AK Honky still working on getting his quad back up into the air. And that is time. FPV Maverick just missing it by maybe about a second on that 6th lap. And actually, I think it is giving him his 6th lap. He did make it through. So that's a first for us here. If he completes that, that's going to be a 6th lap. It's that whole shot time. And sometimes you see them get through, and that's going to push him way up there. So FPV Maverick, a record time for him and a record for the AKDRL. That's the first in a series of a 6-lap race. So it looks like FPV Drift is done. It's just FPV Slacker out on the track now.
FPV Slacker done. All pilots are finished.
And that is the race. So that was a great one, folks. And there it is, folks. It's official 6 laps for FPV Maverick in a time of 2:21.126. AK Honky and FPV Drift both pick up 3 laps, and FPV Slacker adds 2 to his totals there. So just on the local rankings right now, it's FPV Maverick with 7 laps with 2 behind him there. FPV Drift at 6, as well as AK Honky is Mr. Geek with 5 laps. He'll be coming up here in the next race. Well, next up on the line, it's round 2 of the 2018 Regional Qualifier. In chair number 1, Hazard FPV. In chair 2, Mr. Geek FPV. And in chair 3, it's Foggy Minded FPV. They have placed their quads. They're making their way back out to the flight line as we speak. So just keep in mind, folks, when you see a bad race there, it's okay because they get 2 throwaways in here. They just the pressure is on the farther they get into the sequence there to get that good race in there. So just because they have one bad one doesn't mean that they're not going to come away with some really, really good times. So Mr. Geek on this one with a 5-lap race last time is looking to duplicate that. And Hazard and Foggy Minded also looking to add some laps to their times as well.
On the toad. Let's race.
Waiting the tone, and it is up. 3 quads into the air and through the start gate. Looks like Mr. Geek through first. He's up over the hurdle. And Hazard and Mr. Geek both very close to each other, both in the corkscrew right now. Jostling for position. It's Mr. Geek through the split S just before Hazard FPV. Foggy Minded not too far behind either. He's now through the split S as well. So it's going to be Mr. Geek drawing first blood on this one. A time of 29.2 42.61, and Hazard just 6/106 of a second behind Mr. Geek FPV. Foggy Minded now through for his first lap, 42 seconds. Hazard FPV is now in the weeds. So we'll keep up track with him and see if he can get that back in the air, and he is upright for the time being. Mr. Geek now down 2 laps, 29.710 seconds. So Hazard is still upright. We'll come back to him. Foggy Minded FPV now through with his second lap. Or maybe that's a second lap, 34.845 seconds. A very good lap time for him. Mr. Geek on pace for a 5-lap day again with 27 seconds to go. He's on his 4th lap now, going into the corkscrew. Foggy Minded also in the corkscrew, 1 lap down to Mr. Geek. And Hazard is back up into the air just as Foggy Minded gets into trouble and goes down into the dirt as well. So Mr. Geek coming around the backstretch with 7 seconds. He'll comfortably go on to his 5th lap. Hearing some contact out there. It's just Hazard and Mr. Geek now left in the race as Foggy Minded has lost his video feed. Mr. Geek is done with the race, and Hazard, I guess they're all both done. You got to quit looking up. I'm missing the end of the race. So that was another great race there. Oh, they are crashed out. Okay, so I'm not paying attention. Mr. Geek is back up into the air. I should stick to my guns. So he's the only one up in the race right now. And he'll be finishing up his, I believe that'll be his 4th lap. He's on his 5th. So he's on his 5th lap now. Coming through gate number 9. It's all about times on these things as far as the rankings into the qualifiers, and he is done. He does pick up 5 laps, so that is going to be good because it's really all about laps, and then you go down to times through the laps. So there we go, a good race for Mr. Geek as well. And there's your results. Mr. Geek does pull out 5 laps at a time of 2:59.201. Hazard FPV does well as well. He gets 3 laps at a time of 2:05.237. Foggy Minded adds 2 laps to his total. Looking at the rankings now with 2 behind him, Mr. Geek ahead the field right now with 10 total laps. FPV Maverick with 7, and AK Honky and FPV Drift tied at 6 laps apiece. Up next, it's AK Drones and Dan Boy Man Boy for their second race of the day. All right, so we've got pilots at the flight line now. Their quads are placed. They are ready for their second race of the day. Looking for some spotters. We're going to get things underway momentarily. So we're just about ready to race with the tone. And they are both up. A Dan Boy Man Boy through the start gate first. AK Drones not too far behind him in the chicanes. Dan Boy Man Boy now successfully through the corkscrew and the split S, making his way through gate 8 as the wind does start to pick up a little bit out there. AK Drones looking pretty solid as well through the corkscrew. And it's that gate 8. Actually, that was gate 10 that Dan Boy impacted. And he's through for his first lap of 35.377 seconds. AK Drones coming up to gate number 9 as well. So as you try to push yourself for the faster and faster laps, it makes it tougher to kind of line up, and you're just flying faster altogether. So that's what's probably a lot of the problems out there. A little bit of adrenaline and also just the pressure to get things done. So AK Drones now into the dirt, and Danboy Manboy through his second lap as well. We'll come back to AK Drones if he's able to get his quad up into the air. For now, it's Danboy Manboy through the corkscrew, lining up with the split S. And AK Drones has got his visor up, so maybe no turtle mode on his quad there. Danboy Manboy on pace for a 4-lap race, as the first one was a little bit slower than his usual. That one right there, a 29.439 second lap, so that one considerably quicker. With 11 seconds to go in the race, this should be his last lap. Through the split S, he goes on to gate 8. And that is 2 minutes, so that'll do it. He just needs to finish up and add a tally of 4 laps to his day. And that's it, Danboy Manboy. That was a fast lap for him too, 27.477 seconds. So these guys' times are definitely starting to pick up after 2 practices, and you can also say that maybe these first 2 rounds also practices. It just needs to put the pressure on the last 3 to really push the laps and the times through. So Danboy Manboy on his second race of the day picks up 4 more laps. AK Drones unable to finish a lap on that one. Unfortunately, he had a little bit of trouble going through one of the gates. So there we are on today's ranking so far. At the end of the first 2 rounds, it's Mr. Geek with 10 laps, FPV Maverick and Danboy tied with 7 laps each, FPV Drift and AK Honky also with 6 laps. And we are up to round 3, heat number 1. It's the 3rd try for these 4 gentlemen stepping out to the line right now. It's AK Honky, FPV Maverick, FPV Slacker, and FPV Drift. They're on their way out to the start podiums right now to place their quads on the podium and ready to race. And this one, the 3rd of their qualifying races. Now, once 3 races are done, we'll actually have some real results to see what where they stack up nationally, actually in the region right now. And as far as the region goes, this is what we're looking at. So right now, just locally, we're looking at Mr. Geek with 10 laps, FPV Maverick and Danboy Manboy tied with 7 laps each, and FPV Drift and AK Honky at 6 laps. So after this one here, with an AK Honky, FPV Maverick, FPV Slacker, and FPV Drift, we'll get to see a little bit more of where they fit in. Right here is the top 25 regional qualifiers in the Northwest region, starting at Jet with 21 laps, and that's just done in 3 laps there. So he's getting 7 laps in 2 minutes. And we just saw FPV Maverick on his last race pull off the 6-lap race. That was the first one we've seen here at the Alaska Drone Racing League, and the first one he's done himself. So if he can do that 2 more times, he'll be sporting an 18, and as you see, that 18 gets you into the top 10. So let's see if he can pull that off. We've got our fingers crossed for him, and we'll see how that goes going forward. Okay, so we've got 4 pilots at the race course now, and we're just getting the spotters into place, and we're waiting for the start tone.
Pilots ready? Race starts on the tone. Let's race.
And there's the tone. There's 4 quads into the air, and 2 through the gate, 4 through the gate. First one through, FPV Maverick, followed by AK Honky. FPV Drift and Slacker both in the chicanes there. So it's FPV Maverick now, making his way around gate number 9. And there's a little bit of trouble out there at gate number 3. It looks like FPV Slacker has encountered some trouble. So FPV Maverick is now through his first gate on a pace for 5 laps right now. That a time of 26.132 seconds. As AK Honky has found his way into the dirt as well. So he'll be trying to right his quad and get that back up and running. FPV Maverick onto his third lap now. That one a 22.122 second lap, so considerably faster for him on that one. FPV Drift now through the gate at 54.470 seconds, and FPV Maverick hit hard somewhere out there, and he's brought his goggles up. He's done for this race. It's down to FPV Slacker and FPV Drift out on the course right now. FPV Drift has made it through the gate once, and FPV Slacker is working on, let's see, what gate is he out? He's that's gate number 9 for him, coming down the backstretch. With 28 seconds left in this race, he'll be 1 lap in. FPV Drift just coming up behind him. FPV Drift may get by him here. There's the start gate for FPV Drift. That's his second lap at the time of 53.043 seconds. And so in the chicanes they go, and FPV Drift may just pass him up here going through gate 2. And you'll get to see a little bit of some drones in the FPV feed on this one here, I'm thinking. So indeed, FPV Drift has gotten by FPV Slacker. Actually, I take that back. Yes, it's FPV Drift now out of the split S and making his way into the gate 9. And AK Honky, while we weren't looking, got his quad back up into the air and finished his race. So that's good for AK Honky. That'll be 1 lap for him.
FPV Drift in first, FPV Drift done.
FPV Drift finishes, and now we're just waiting for FPV Slacker to bring it through the finish line there on the home stretch, and FPV Slacker finishes his race as well.
All pilots are finished.
And there's your results for round 3, heat number 1. It's FPV Drift pulling out the victory on that one. If there's a victory, it's 3 laps, 2:44.46. FPV Slacker and FPV Maverick both with 2 laps, and AK Honky able to pull out 1 lap. He kind of snuck it in there right at the end. He kind of revived right at the end of his race there. So after having said that, Mr. Geek still sitting up on top with 10 laps. He'll be coming up in the next round there, FPV Maverick at 9. And so one of those is going to have to be a throwaway for him because that was his 3rd race out there. And FPV Drift at 9 as well. And we're on to heat number 2 of round 3. It's Hazard FPV, Mr. Geek FPV, and Foggy Minded FPV. They're out there placing their quads right now out on the podiums there. So Mr. Geek, a great day for him. He's got 2 5-lap races under his belt. This 3rd one will put him into the 15 mark, and that 15 mark is pretty pivotal, because if you see where they are with 15 laps in the Northwest region, that puts you in the top 25. That'll put just the lowest 15 lap time will put you at number 24. So a big race for Mr. Geek. If he can pull that 3rd 5-lap race out, he will be officially in the top 25 of the Northwest region. Foggy Minded and Hazard both having trouble getting too many laps down there. They're both very fast pilots, but again, just a little bit of going wide on some of the gates and contacting some gates, not being able to get the quad back up into the air. So this will be a big race for them too, to try to see if they can add some laps and get further up on the top 25 rankings here in the Northwest region. Okay, so we've got 3 pilots at the flight line now. They're all plugged in, and it looks like they're getting ready to go. We're looking to see if we get some spotters for these gentlemen, and we should be racing momentarily. So again, those spotters are out there to just kind of make sure that the racetrack is clear of people and wildlife. We do get the occasional moose wandering through there. It's not unheard of to see bear out this area as well. We are out in the wilds of Alaska as it is. And so we got some thumbs up and we're just about ready to race.
Let's race.
3 quads up into the air. We got 3 quads through the gate. It's Hazard FPV drawing first blood on that one. He gets through the gate first. Mr. Geek following him very closely, and Mr. Geek makes some contact, and his camera's gone blurry. This is going to be difficult for him now. Something's been knocked out. He's going to have to fly it like Mr. Magoo out there, just feel his way through the track. So that should probably impact his time a little bit. Hazard FPV through the gate first, 1 lap with 27.632 seconds. Foggy Minded closely behind him, 31.296 seconds. Mr. Geek feeling his way around now the back course. If he didn't know this track, it would be almost impossible to do. And he just misses the gate, and he gets timed on that. So there it is, 1 lap, 44.188 seconds. So that camera is really hampering that time for him. That's going to be a drag. He'll certainly be getting that fixed as he goes on to the next round. Big looping turn there is Minded FPV now coming through the start gates. That was a 32.842 second lap for him. Hazard FPV on his 3rd lap just pulled in a 26.026, so he's burning it up out there, looking real good. He just keeps this thing in the air. He is on pace for a 5-lap race. Hazard FPV, that one a bit slower for him there, 31.052, but right behind him, Mr. Geek. And Foggy Minded now finishing his 3rd lap, 30.711 seconds on that one. With 18 seconds left in this race, it looks like Hazard FPV should easily be able to get through the start gate to go on to his 5th lap, and he certainly does. 24.024 seconds. That's a great time for him. Mr. Geek still pulling it off there. Now through the finish line onto his 4th lap. A good time for him, 33.354 seconds. Being half blind, that's not too bad. So Foggy Minded doesn't quite beat the buzzer on that one. He gets finishes with 4 laps at 29.670, and Hazard FPV finishes a 5-lap race. I think that'll be the first for him, so congratulations to him on that one. Mr. Geek still out on the track there, finishing up his race. And he'll do some adjustments for the next one. It's not too bad for him. He's still going to come away with, looks like 4 laps. And it'll cut into his time, but it's still a pretty good race nonetheless.
The race is completed.
So you just witnessed a very good race right there. All 3 pilots in the race gaining a nice amount of laps on that one. Hazard FPV finishes his first race of the season there with 5 laps to his credit there, 2:15.039. Mr. Geek and Foggy Minded collect 4 laps, and this is where we are standing now on the top 25. Nobody's broken that just yet, but there's Mr. Geek with one of his throwaways. He's got 14 laps to his name, and that puts him at 32 nationally. So looking down at the local rankings and where we are in the stack up now, as of this time, it's Mr. Geek at 32, FPV Maverick ranked at 53, and Hazard FPV just behind him at 53. So as they go through, we got 2 more rounds for these guys, and we should start seeing those times increase as they go. So it's round 3, heat number 3 will be AK Drones and Dan Boy Man Boy. You'll be getting used to these orders. These matchups are going to be the same all day. As we noted, there's Dan Boy Man Boy out there placing his quad, deciding which podium looks best for him. I guess first one out there, you get to decide which podium to put your quad on. I suppose that's how it goes there. So he's fixing that up. So just talking to AK Drones here, and it looks like his quad didn't survive the last race, so he'll be out. He's running the scoreboard for us right now, as this will be a Dan Boy Man Boy solo race for him on this one. So kind of harkening back to some of the last couple races we did where you get that solo race. It's you against yourself, and Maybe easier, maybe harder. It's hard to say. You kind of get the competition out there pushing you along. So Dan Boy, Man Boy getting himself set up for his solo qualifier race here.
Spotters ready?
So it looks like Dan Boy is ready to go. We got the spotters and we're waiting for the tone here. And he's in the air and through the start gates, Dan Boy, Man Boy. Looking for a 5-lap race if he can make that work. A little bit of a breeze out there. Again, we've seen a lot more wind on this track, so it shouldn't affect him too much. Although there's that mean gate 8. Something about that gate 8 out there has just been the bane of everybody's existence. So he's circling back around and ends up contacting a gate. It looked like he contacted one of the flags in the corkscrew as he's making his way back out towards gate 8. So he's going to do what he can to get himself back up into the air. The old turtle mode, they call it, because it harkens back to the turtle being on his back shell, and most of these quads aren't meant to fly that way. It looks like Dan Boy, Man Boy is going to call it quits on the race, so a little bit disappointing for him on that one. So we found our way to round number 4 at Heat 1 with 2 more races to go for regional qualifier times. It'll be AK Honky, FPV Maverick, FPV Slacker, and FPV Drift. They are on their way out to place their quads out on the start line. And just kind of running back through the format of what we're looking to do out here today. So the race format is best 3 of 5. So 5 rounds to get the race, they get to throw 2 away and keep the best times of 3 there. Once they've gotten to that, the top 100 times from the region, that's the Northwest region, will be going to Seattle. And the regional championships are in Seattle coming up in a couple of weeks there, August 18th to 19th. We'll probably have a few pilots going out there and representing the Alaska Drone Racing League. Indeed, the entire state of Alaska will be represented out there. So we also have a concurrent regional qualifier going on as we speak right now in Nampa, Idaho. It's the Treasure Valley MultiGP. We're awaiting times from them. We don't have them, so we can't factor them into the rankings at this time. So all rankings that you're seeing right now are conditional on the Treasure Valley MultiGP and to see where their pilots come up and things. But I think you can see safely that based on the times that our pilots are showing there, that anybody who's getting into the 15-lap regime should be very safe to be inside that top 100. In fact, I would say that anybody that's in the top, I believe, making 12 laps or so should easily be able to hit the top 100. So we're awaiting right now the pilots discussing something out there and getting their quads up and ready to go. And it looks like we've got our quads placed on the start podiums as the 4 pilots in round number 4, heat number 1, make their way back to the flight line. Again, it'll be AK Honky, FPV Maverick, FPV Slacker, and FPV Drift. Looking to add laps to their cumulative totals here. Probably the cloudiest day we've seen all season. We've been blessed with the weather out here. Been afraid to say that up until just now. It's been quite nice. We've had really hot, sunny days and quite a bit of wind throughout the season. And just as I say, a bit of a breeze strikes up even now. So that could affect some of the race times, although it's not a heavy wind, it's just kind of a stronger breeze. So we'll see how that goes. Usually you can gauge that out there on the split S gate. You can kind of see the flags kind of bending over in the wind, but that's, you can see kind of what the wind's looking right now. And it looks like our pilots are about ready to go. We're just waiting for a start signal, and we'll be underway momentarily.
Spotters? Right here. Good to go.
Gotcha, John.
Everybody got a spotter? Yep. Spotters ready?
Ready?
Pilots ready? Race starts on the tone.
So we've got thumbs up, waiting for a tone. And two pilots crash right off the bat there. It's AK Hunky and FPV Maverick. So that's kind of a bummer for them there. It's FPV Slacker and FPV Drift, and AK Honky does make it back up into the air. FPV Maverick looks like it's all over for him there. He's down and without video. So FPV Slacker spinning out of control and impacts into the ground. Is quite the ride that he took out there. And he may be down. It's AK Hunky and FPV Drift out on the track. He's got it righted, does FPV Slacker, so he may yet get back up into the air. AK Hunky now finishes his first lap at the time of 51.578 seconds. Right behind him on his heels is FPV Drift. FPV Slacker still working to get his quad back up into the air. We'll join him again if he does. For now, it's AK Hunky out in the lead there. Coming around gate number 9 and onto the backstretch. This will be his going into his third lap now. So that one a significantly better time for him, going from 51 to 34.215. And FPV Drift now going through gate number 9 and hitting the backstretch himself. So AK Hunky just coming up behind FPV Drift. We'll see who gets through the gate first. And they AK Hunky just behind FPV Drift. And that's the 2-minute bell. AK Hunky on his 4th lap and FPV Drift on his 3rd. So AK Hunky into the corkscrews. FPV Drift also finishing up the corkscrews. AK Hunky now goes into gate 8. And it'll be AK Hunky finishing his race, 31.992 seconds on that 4th lap for him. FPV Drift now the sole survivor out on the race course. Heading down the backstretch she comes, and on to the start gate is FPV Drift, finishing with 3 laps.
All pilots are finished.
So a disappointing start there for FPV Maverick, and then FPV Slacker also crashing out fairly shortly thereafter.
The race is concluded.
So there's your results. It's FPV Maverick and FPV Slacker unable to get a lap in there and bring their times up, so those will be throwaways for them. AK Hunky, meanwhile, gets 4 laps. FPV Drift adds 3 to his total. Looking over the local rankings now, AK Hunky now up to 52 in the Northwest Regional rankings. So coming up next, we've got Hazard, Mr. Geek, Foggy Minded, and FPV Free. So you'll see Mr. Geek there. Went blurry on the last one. I'm thinking he's probably got his camera fixed, and we should see maybe another 5-lap day from him coming on up. It's heat 2 of round number 4. Hazard FPV, Mr. Geek FPV, and Foggy Minded FPV placed their quads. You can see the start podiums. They're on their way back now to the flight line. to start their 4th race of the day. So it's 2 races left to go for these guys to get those laps and times where they want them to be. So I guess on the last race, the song in the background had some tones in the song that sounded a lot like the start tone of the gate. So that may have been what contributed to some of the difficulty at the start line. So you got to have steely nerves out here and pay attention. Listen to everyone's on a hair trigger, so it's easy to kind of get fed into some of that extraneous stuff that you may be hearing out there. So we've got 2 pilots up on the fly line waiting for Mr. Geek to find his spot. All the spotters seem to have been located, and we are getting close to racing.
Pilots ready?
All right, we got some thumbs up from the pilots now.
Hold on. I'm not looking at my quad.
It looks like somebody's got a video transmitter on. There we go. It's Mr. Geek had some interference on his channel there for just a moment. So that could have kind of ruined things as well.
Pilots ready? Ready. Race starts on the tone. Let's race.
And we got a false start on that race there. So one pilot had jumped the tone there, and so we're going to call that one back, start it all over again. Again, like I was saying, it's kind of everyone's kind of on a hair trigger out there, and you just want to get the best start you possibly can, and sometimes you're just anticipating that tone, and that's exactly what happened that time. It looked like they got tired of waiting for the tone and just launched it into the air, hoping that the tone would sound imminently, and the itchy trigger finger got to them. So as they're out there, they'll be replacing their quads on the starting podium there. You can see them over there in the left-hand corner of the shot. And it looks like Hazard FPV and Mr. Geek FPV have got someone out there replacing their quads for them. Foggy Minded has decided to go out and do it himself, and he may have been the guilty party there on the false start. We didn't see exactly from the video who had gone first. But so we'll bring that back. He's on his way back now to the flight line. And we'll get reset here for round number 4, heat number 2 in this 2018 regional qualifier for the Northwest region. Okay, so we've got everything reset. We got our quads back on the start blocks and the pilots with the goggles back on. And we're just about ready to restart the race. And there goes the tone, and indeed we did start a good clean race this time. 3 through the gate. It's Hazard FPV first through the gate, followed closely by Mr. Geek and then Foggy Minded FPV. So right now it looks like we could call Hazard FPV out in front now, coming around the back stretch first. And he's going to score first blood there. First lap of 28.716 seconds. Mr. Geek now coming through. His time, 35.312 seconds. And Hazard FPV has crashed. And we'll see if he can get that back up into the air. He's going to be working on that turtle mode. We'll join him if he does get it back up into the air. For now, it's Mr. Geek, Foggy Minded FPV. Mr. Geek at gate number 9 right now. Foggy Minded not too far behind, clearing gate 9 himself. Mr. Geek now onto his third lap. That last one, 26.967 seconds. Foggy Minded hot on his heels, only about 4 seconds behind at 30.281 seconds. So Hazard has pulled his video. Looks like he's done for this race. It's Mr. Geek, Foggy Minded FPV going for the spin, and we see clouds. He's pointed up at the sky. He should be able to get that righted. 25 seconds to go in the race. Mr. Geek FPV now on to his 4th lap. That last time for him, 27.158 seconds. So we'll get back to Foggy Minded if he can get that back up into the air. For now, it's Mr. Geek FPV with 6 seconds to go. If he can beat the whole shot here, he is on to his 5th lap. So that's a good one for him. Just a buzzer beater there. That one, a 28.558 second lap. Foggy Minded still looking at, he's now upside down. He was pointing at the clouds, and now it seems fairly motionless. Mr. Geek now clearing the dreaded gate 8. So that's a good advancement right there down the last home stretch. One more flag, and through the gate he is. Nicking the top of it, but he gets it. 5 laps, 29.789 seconds.
When your battery drops to 10 all of a sudden, you can't do much to pull out.
So there it is, Mr. Geek FPV indeed does get that 5-lap day. That's his, I think is its 3rd one. So he'll be up into the 15. We'll check that momentarily. Foggy Minded FPV with 2 laps, and Hazard FPV pulls out 1 lap as well. So let's go to the top 25 in the Northwest region right now. You can see, look for the chevrons there. It's Mr. Geek FPV coming in now at number 24 in the Northwest regional standings. And just behind him, AK Honky at 52. So Mr. Geek on the board now, 24. And there's your next standings there. AK Honky at 52, FPV Maverick at 53. And he's already done, FPV Maverick's already done with his 4th race, so he'll have 1 more to go. Maximum will be maybe 15 laps for him if he can pull out another 6. So we're on to round 4, heat number 3. Again, it's Dan Boy, Man Boy with the solo race. And he's already placed his quad, and he is at the flight line right now as we speak. So a nice quick change. When you only have 1 pilot, it goes pretty quickly there. So it looks like he's about ready to go. Pretty much everybody should be his spotter. We've got the crowd here spotting for Dan Boy, Man Boy, and he'll be looking for a highly lapped race.
Race starts on the toes. Let's race.
So Dan Boy, Man Boy on the tone, up off the blocks through the gate and into the chicanes. Looking for some clean lines. It's a fairly still wind condition right now for him. And a bit of a bobble there at the split S. He's into the mesh, and he'll recover it. He's through the gate, so that'll cost him a couple seconds, but he's still flying, so that's the goal right there. Through the flags and onto the backstretch, he'll be on to lap number 2 with a time of 37.313 seconds. So he'll be looking to clean that up and get a little bit quicker as he goes on this, his 2nd lap. Through the split S and on to gate 8. On down the home stretch, Dan Boy, Man Boy through the gate. That one, a much quicker lap, 29.9459. So he's on pace for a 4-lap day here, or 4-lap race, I should say. And again, at the split S, he gets a bit low and drops it down into the grass. He'll flip that thing over and get it back into the air and just kind of drive it right through the split S. So that'll cost him a couple seconds as well. With 22 seconds left, he should be able to get on to his 4th lap. And he does. So on to 4th lap with 13 seconds to go. This will probably be the last lap for him on his 4th race. Into the corkscrew. And his video just cut out. Something just happened as he was upside down in the corkscrew. And that'll do it. He'll just finish with 3 laps. I'm not sure what happened. His drone dropped right out of the sky. So maybe the battery became disconnected or something out there. Some kind of catastrophic malfunction out there. We'll find out here in a minute from Dan to see what happened. So Dan Boy, Man Boy there, we'll have to, again, we'll figure out what happened on that last lap there as he was going through the chicane, or the corkscrew there. He had gotten inverted, and just as he went upside down, the video feed just dropped completely out on him, and looked up and saw the quad just dropping out of the air there. So maybe a loose battery or something like that is what had happened there. So as far as that's concerned, Dan Boy Man Boy does move up in the rankings. He's got 4 behind him there with 10 laps now. That's his best 3. He's up to 47, and that gets up above AK Honky now at rank number 53. And we have made it to the last and final race for 4 of the competitors here in the 2018 Regional Qualifier. It's AK Honky, FPV Maverick, FPV Slacker, and FPV Drift. They're all looking to add as many laps as they can to bring that time up. So that lap total up, I should say. And then the second delineating thing is the times. So they're out there placing their quads. You can see them making sure they've got good video, good connectivity, and they've all agreed that they're set up and making their way back to the flight line as we speak. So this is the last race for these guys. They are ready. Their thumbs are up and they are ready to race.
Spotters ready? Pilots ready? Race starts on the toes. Let's race.
And there's the tone. We've got 3 quads into the air, 4 quads into the air, and through the gate they go. First through is FPV Maverick, followed by AK Honky, FPV Drift, and FPV Slacker. So FPV Maverick blazing his way around the track right now through gate number 9 already into the back stretch. And he will finish his first lap 25.976 seconds. That's just going to be a bit shy of a 6-lap pace. So he'll have to pick that up if he wants to get that his second of 6-lap race out there. AK Honky, the second one through the gate with 38.519 seconds on his lap. FPV Maverick making his way down the backstretch. He'll be through that one considerably faster, 22.031 seconds. Still just shy of that 6-second lap, or 6-lap race, I should say, but he is closing in on it in a hurry. FPV Drift now through the gate on the end of his first lap, 57.147 seconds for him. FPV Maverick making it through, and just seeing AK Honky, as AK Honky got there about the same time, and FPV Maverick now on a 6-lap pace, 21.953. He'll have to keep that up to make that 6 laps. FPV Drift, however, coming down the, he's going through the split S there. And FPV Maverick now 24.344 onto his 5th lap now, and he has hit something out there. He's down. We'll have to see if he can get that righted. For now, it's FPV Slacker and FPV Drift still up on the race course. So we'll have to see if we can get FPV Maverick back up there. Indeed, his goggles are off, so he's going to be done and happy with those 4 laps that he did get. AK Honky's still fighting furiously to get his quad back into the air. So the 2 minutes are up. We're just waiting lap times. FPV Slacker now through, and that's his 2nd lap. FPV Drift. He's working on gate number 9 as AK Honky furiously trying to get his drone back into the air. He's not getting much progress on it. It's kind of, we're seeing the same stick. And so he hasn't moved too far off that. FPV Drift now finished with his race. That'll be 3 minutes race there, and we'll give AK Honky 1 minute to get his quad into the air. So, and it's almost 1 minute right now. It's at 55, 56. And that is 1 minute past race time for AK Honky. So that'll do it for him.
The race is completed.
Okay, so FPV Maverick on that one. His last race of the day picks up 4 more laps. FPV Drift picks up 3 laps on his. AK Honky and FPV Slacker also pick up 2 laps apiece. So looking at the top 25, still no movement there really. It's Mr. Geek FPV at number 24 ranking. FPV Maverick has risen to number 36 in the Northwest Regional ranking. Danboy Manboy still to go. AK Honky's done with 10 laps at 54. It's heat number 2 of the final round of the 2018 Northwest Regional Qualifier for the state of Alaska. It'll be Hazard FPV, Mr. Geek FPV, and Foggy Minded FPV. And we'll join them now as they're out at the start podiums placing their quads just so to get their best starting position, to get the best lap time they possibly can. Mr. Geek looking to get another 5 and maybe a 6 lap race here and move himself up. He's currently at number 24 on the regional standings. And if he can get that one brought up a little bit more, he'll be very happy about that. So there you see him. Number 24 is Mr. Geek FPV, and FPV Maverick at 36. He's finished with his day as well. So again, we'll be watching on this race. It's Mr. Geek who's looking to bolster his laps and push himself further in the standings. Again, once they do get to the regional race, they're going to be looking to go on to national. So how it's going to work from there is the top 6 pilots from each region will advance to the Fast 57 of the national race. And after that, the ranks 7 through 12 from each region. So as long as you're the top 12 of your region, you will go on to the national championship as well. But fear not, if you're not in the top 12, they'll take all the remaining pilots, and the top 72 of those remaining pilots will also find themselves in the national championship rounds. So we're going to keep watching on that, and it is not an easy thing to become number 2, the top 12 of the regions, as they are very, very competitive regions. But that's the path to nationals. For now, we're just trying to get ourselves into the regions, and Mr. Geek has already found his way in without this next race. This is only just to bolster his times. He's in the top 25 already, so looks like we're just about ready to go with the last race of the day for these 3 gentlemen.
Keep one more spotter. Show on the road.
So we're still collecting some spotters out here.
Spotters ready.
And it looks like we got everybody ready to go. The pilots have got some thumbs up.
Race starts on the tone.
And we're
Let's
just
race.
about ready to race. Tone sounds, 3 quads are in the air and through the gates. First through recorded is Mr. Geek FPV, followed by Hazard FPV and Foggy Minded FPV. Little bit of a collision there at gate number 5, or 4, I should say, but everybody's recovered and flying straight and true. And it looks like Hazard FPV will be the first one to the finish line on this one as well. That one, a 28.064 second lap, followed closely by Mr. Geek, only about a second behind him at 29.795. Foggy Minded FPV on the backstretch as well. He'll be closing in on his first lap. And there it is for him, 45.821 seconds on that one. Mr. Geek now making his way down the backstretch as he's passed up Hazard now. And he's now at a 25.966. Both Hazard and Mr. Geek are on a pace for a 5-lap race. So that's what they're looking for. They want to get the 5-lap. And that's what Mr. Geek will need to make this one count for anything, because he's already got 15. So Hazard get a little bit backwards on the split S. Foggy Minded coming through, 32.303 seconds. He's on his 3rd lap now. Mr. Geek now with a 28.519 second lap on that one. And Hazard FPV has impacted the ground. And it looks like his camera may have shifted as well. So he's going to be done for this race and indeed for the day. And that his posted times are going to stand as they are for the regions. Mr. Geek FPV through the gates with 8 seconds to spare. He is on his 5th lap, so he does pull that up. He's going to want to make this a fast one, though, to make that time go up. So they're both in the corkscrew together, Foggy Minded and Mr. Geek. Hopefully no collisions. They're very close to each other, is right neck and neck. It's a race, and Foggy Minded finds some contact out there. I don't know if it was Mr. Geek, because he's still flying straight and true, and he's done with 5 laps, and that should bring his time up. We'll have to see what that did for him at the end of this, see if that moved him up in the rankings. So a good race. That was a heck of a one to watch there right at the end there. And there it is, Mr. Geek FPV picks up the 5 laps he was looking for. Foggy Minded, it adds 4 laps to his total, and Hazard FPV comes away with 3 laps. Going to the top 25 now, Mr. Geek FPV does indeed move himself up 1 place. He is now ranked number 23 on the Northwest Regional standings. 15 laps and 29.193 seconds. So 1 more pilot to go here in the racing. It's going to be Dan Boy and Man Boy. FPV Maverick here finishes with number 36th place, and Hazard FPV at 46. So it's Dan Boy, Man Boy with a good race on his last one. We'll be able to see if he can pick up a place or 2. 4 laps would maybe get him pretty close to the top 25. We'll see how he does going forward. And we are up to our final race of the day. It's round 5, heat number 3, another solo race by Dan Boy, Man Boy, who is at 10 laps right now for the day. So pretty much any normal race that he may run here should bolster his rankings in the region as well. So he's hooking up and he's getting ready to make his race happen. And it'll be the last race of the day, as the rain seems like it's starting to get a little bit wet out there. It's not raining just yet, but heard a lot of talk about it right now. So there is some concern for the rain. So we're hoping we can beat the drops on this last race of the 2018 Regional Qualifier Series here in Butte, Alaska. So you can see the top of Pioneer Peak tipped with some clouds out there as they're moving through. Still a little bit of snow up there near the top. And the green is creeping its way up the slope. It'll do that for another month and a half. And winter will be on its way. So Dan Boy Man Boy is now ready. And he was ready. He's taken his goggles off. And now it appears as though he's about ready to race as the NASCAR race kicks into gear next door. All right, and Dan Boy Man Boy awaiting the tone to start his final race of this qualifier season. Cleanly through the gate, he's up off the blocks and into the chicanes. Trying to collect as many laps as he can. He's already ranked in the top 100, so he definitely gets the invite to Seattle. It's just how far up the rankings will he be when he goes. So around gate number 9, through the backstretch, and 1 lap down, that a time of 32.620 seconds. They seem to, today most of the laps have seemed to start fairly slow, and he contacts gate number 5 and tumbles. And that was a pretty stunning recovery based on the force of the impact he had on gate number 5. And he just went tumbling through space there, past stumps and rocks. So he's back up and running. He's on to his 3rd lap now. That one will be a slightly slower time for him as he did a little bit of rolling. 38.899 seconds. He's still on pace for a 4-lap race. So that time he gets through the corkscrew cleanly. He's into the split S and on to gate 8. Around the backstretch, the climbs are looking pretty clean there. And he hits the start gate. So another wipeout. He gets scored, but I'm not sure if he made it through or not. So with 5 seconds left, he will now have a minute to get it back up into the air. Time is up on the race. And it looks like he's on a stick down there, and that's going to be it for Dan Boy Man Boy. He's stuck on a stick out there. So a good race, and that is it for the day. So Dan Boy Man Boy picking up 3 laps on that one there. And this is where it will put him in the rankings. Brings him up. I don't think that changed it at all. He was at 10 before, and I think that's still 10. We'll have to see where his throwaway laps are. So that's where we end up on the top 25. It'll be Mr. Geek FPV representing the Alaska Drone Racing League at number 23 in the regional rankings. Do keep in mind, however, there is one more race still to go today. It's down in Nampa, Idaho. They're going to be racing with 21 pilots signed up, so there may be some shifting of these spots as we go forward. But for now, it's Mr. Geek at 23. FPV Maverick comes in at 36. Hazard FPV at 46. Dan Boy Man Boy at 49. Foggy Minded at 52. AK Honky comes in at 56, FPV Drift at 62, FPV Slacker at 75, and AK Drones picks up a lap there and finishes at 81 in the Northwest region. Well, thanks a lot for joining us today from beautiful Butte, Alaska. This has been the 2018 Regional Qualifier race for the MultiGP Regional Series. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.